Welcome to ph360 Educators call number 0. Before we kick off, we've got to make sure you're in the right place. So for those who have dialed in today, you will be here because you're wanting to understand a little bit more about how you can become a ph360 educator, part of our team, really part of the avant-garde that's going to be creating the next wave of professionals, and slowly influence all the old heads that will need to be re-educated to think more in a more personalized way as well. So in this group, we have a nest of very high enthusiasts, right through fantastic clinicians, right through to just general legends. So what we'd like to do tonight is talk about what's happening in the space of ph360 education, talk to you about the steps as to how you can look at becoming an educator, and also some of the other structures that we're building out to really support the education team. It's very important. We're all trying to, yes, change the world. Not all of us are there just for that. Some of us also want to feed our families. And I want to make sure that there's an understanding of some of the avenues of that income as well. We won't be going through specific numbers tonight, however, just for you to understand some of the structures that are being put in place to see where your progression with ph360 could be over the next little while. And then finally, we're kicking off the mentoring program. We're going to be having a ph360 mentor program, which the exciting part is that you have the availability to be mentors yourself and mentor other ph360 coaches. When you start having a look at the numbers that we're planning of coaches over the next few years, we're going to have a huge scope for you to be able to create your world around educating people on ph360, coaching coaches to be better ph360 practitioners, and then seeing some of your own clients on the side and any other level of involvement you might want to have as well with what we're doing or with what you're doing. So that's the brief overview of tonight. I'm going to, in Crusader fashion, clip through the information pretty quickly because you've got a recording and you're also going to get a document that outlines the stuff as well. But it's important that you just understand why we're doing it, the structures that we're going to be putting in place. And then I'd also like to open the floor for questions as well, so that you can really start to understand more and just sort of get into our heads as to what we're planning, where things are going, and how you might want to play a part in that. So is everyone on the right call? Everyone hands up? Yeah, sorry, you don't have to do that. I know you're all here, and if you're not, you're already excited, you want to stay on. So what we'll do is we'll just flip over to a shared screen here. And that is not the one that I want. The one that I want is this one right here. Okay, so do that, not like that. We're going to do this, that. Okay, very good. So we're just going to roll through just so that you can get the bare essentials, and Kyle will throw bits in where I've missed things, which is highly likely, but we'll just make sure that you've got the major structures so that you can start asking some questions as well. So ultimately, over the next 5 to 10 years, there is going to be a big transition in the knowledge base around health. I know that having been through the mastery courses as you have, you will know that there is a big change that's going to occur. There is a huge team working on this globally to make this happen. We've got people consulting to some of the biggest influencers in the world as we speak in order to really create the change that we want. So this thing is happening, and we're going to need a bucket load of fantastic practitioners who are passionate, who need to be trained in the application of this content, and we need a really, really strong team to lead that industry. So while we sit here and while you're thinking, oh, this is a cool thing, ph360, as we roll this out and as the medical platform drops in a couple of years, and as this starts getting huge traction, the team that is in this room right now could very well be the national and international leaders. We have a strong mission of Australia and New Zealand really leading the way with how we roll out the education. We're going really, really hard at it to make the most of the resources that we have. And we really feel like we're placing the Australian team to have a big influence on the rest of the world, which I know a lot of people in the room actually want to do. So this is exciting. Our goals, if we're just talking about the bare numbers, is we're aiming for 500 new coaches next year. We're running 12 conferences, 3 in New Zealand and 9 in Australia. And then we're doing the Pro Series on top of that as well. It'll be 2 or 3 Pro Series next year. We're running an alignment conference with AIMA, which is the Australian Integrative Medicine Association, which is very exciting. And there'll be other key alignments that happen like that as well. So in 2019, we'll be having 23 conferences. These are already mapped out in the calendar. They're not up online yet, but we are mapped out. And we would expect that you guys will actually be running these conferences by yourself towards the back end of this year. And depending on where you're sitting right now, definitely into 2019. These are conferences that you'll have involvement with and in fact be coordinating yourself if indeed you want to be doing that. So being on this call, I'm assuming that that's the case. 2020, we're going to have a number of strategies in play, both beginner online courses and then really expanding to higher volume courses with a lot more coaches so we can really expand this message a lot more. And that's going to involve, we will be aiming for 5,000 new coaches in 2020. So if you think that there's not going to be enough to do, then think again. We're going to have a huge amount of people who need to hear this stuff in person, and we're going to as you know, the 3-day conference seems like a bloody short little episode after the 6-week course, and Kyle and I banging down your eardrums for the last 6 weeks as well, with new content coming out every couple of weeks. This is in fact what's going to happen, and this is what people are going to need as we go forward as well, but they're going to need it on a very, very big scale. So I really want you to be aware that this is a much bigger task than just running a few courses with Kyle and I. This is a matter of you really taking ownership of maybe an area, maybe a specialty area as well, really having an influence on practitioners, and then being able to nurture them through, as you have learnt your lessons too, being able to nurture them through their own journey to really create successful businesses as well. So that's just a bit of the why as to why we've gathered you tonight, so that you can really see the bigger picture for this. As far as how we're going to do that, we're going to get ph360 educators to be very highly trained in the delivery of personalized health content. Specific focuses around ph360, and we're going to be really making sure that you are fantastic public speakers and also have an excellent educational foundation in that as well, and the business skills that match it. So you'll know that in order to do this and to influence coaches, you're going to have to be able to deliver ph360 quite well. You're going to need to be able to talk to them about it and motivate people to do it, which is where the public speaking comes in. And then you're also going to need to know how you actually do that in a business setting so that you can really make a go of it financially. And all of these skills are actually really important, and we believe that we have a curriculum that is going to allow you to organically learn those skills, and so that they become very, very embedded in what you do, so you can make a really great difference in the coaches' lives, and really have the opportunity to influence thousands of clients by providing fantastic support for other coaches as well. And that's probably, I know Mel Smart's on the line at the moment, probably one of the most touching parts of my career, and I say that unreservedly, is knowing that she is looking after Gundagai. And Gundagai is my hometown of 2,500 people, and hearing stories and being able to interact with people from my hometown. And while I haven't lived there for 20 years now, which seems like I'm super old, but I haven't lived there for 20 years, but to know that Mel is actually able to come and learn this content, I was able to have an involvement in that knowledge. And then to be hearing things, interacting with some of the doctors that I grew up with, and know that their clients and their patients are being influenced in a very, very positive way. It's been one of the most precious things to be involved in. So a big shout out to you, Mel. Thank you very much. This is a big how, and being able to educate people this way, it will bring a whole lot more fulfillment to your life than what you probably realize right now. So we also want to make sure the educators will make up the structure that we're going to have around the mentorship. And so we want to be able to make sure that each of our professionals that are working have a mentor that they can access. This will be both paid and voluntary depending on your stage of training. But once you're fully trained, everything you do will be paid, unless you're throwing out a few charity mentorships, which is often done. So as far as the what is concerned, by the end of the ph360 educators training, successful individuals will be able to conduct a full 3-day mastery series, including the delivery of the scientific, coaching, and the business content, coordinate the conference team to create a collaborative and enthusiastic environment for participants. So I don't know if you guys have run events in the past, but there is a lot more to it than just standing up the front and dumping information. I know that's what it looks like when Kyle but there is a whole lot more to coordinating the efforts so that this event actually pulls off and people go, oh, I actually want to be part of this thing. I want to use it in my practice. Helping you understand that is very, very important. The second is mentoring junior and senior clinicians in the application of ph360. As part of this education, you'll be taking on mentees in both a voluntary and paid setting based on your progress through the curriculum, and will effectively you'll be supporting equivalently qualified practitioners in their application of the tool, so that you'll be taking people on who are peer and below, and so that you can have that leadership role with them without there being conflict of ego. We'll be looking at pairing you up with a PT, pairing you up with a PT who's more junior to you, or at your same level, but you'll have more experience in ph360. You'll have been around us a little bit longer as well. And we would hope that your professional and personal development would have put you ahead of the curve. So, and then the third, so there's number one is to be able to conduct a full mastery series. Number two is to be mentoring people, and you'll have over 15 mentees by the time you've progressed into delivering that mastery series, and delivering advanced professional development as part of the ongoing ph360 support. So it's not viable for Kyle and I and Anne to be doing all of the advanced professional development as we go forward. We actually need information to be coming from all levels of the education team so that the information is really relatable, so that we can cast a wider net, so that we can have specialists in different areas. And so your ability to deliver that information will be really cool. So, guys, what I'll just get you to do is to mute your camera if you don't mind, or mute your thing. Actually, I'll just do that. Actually, or just mute yourself. That would be really cool. Just a few papers turning as the pens are burning with notes. I will be passing on this document, by the way. And then finally, support for the educators. So you're not going uneducated or unsupported in this. We'll be really increasing the allocation of our resources. So you are the people, the educators that we really want to be investing a significant amount of time into, both Kyle and I personally, where we'll be making sure we're making ourselves very available for clinical questions, business strategies, general questions about life and personal development. We want to make sure that that's available to you. There's also there's still a limit to the amount of time that we can give, and we're working on some structure so that you can get some really well structured content as well, that's going to really help you and do that at a much more accessible rate than will be available to other people. Also, specific group chats to speed your learning in different areas related to ph360 content, access to recorded conferences. So we've recorded the Gold Coast conference, which was what we consider was quite a good delivery of the content. We've had some shockers in the past. None of you guys were at any of those conferences, of course. However, the Gold Coast conference flowed quite well. We delivered what we wanted to deliver in the way we wanted to deliver it. So you actually have access to that as part of this process, so you can really review that content and really get deep with your learning, because I know that each time I listen to that, even to Kyle presenting, I learn new things each time. I have new realizations because it would have related to a client that I've seen just that week. So, and also, if you're really wanting to take your business to the next level and to be a leader in this, we're really going to support you to do that. But if you're really wanting to take it to the next level, which will be a very important part of it, then we're going to make some specific ph360 mentoring available to you for a very low rate, which is going to be delivered by an incredibly experienced mentor who we'll talk about, Angela Jenkins. She's one of our fantastic coaches. She's got a huge history in delivering mentorships. She And I know there's a couple of people in the room who have benefited from that mentorship as well. There's going to be some ph360 content specifically available for you through her as well, which will really catapult your business. That's for your personal growth, because as part of this growth, personal growth is probably the major trick when it comes to really developing your business as well. So in my promise of making sure we get through this content, I'm going to keep going. To become a ph360 educator, unless there was something you want to add, mate. Okay, cool. So to become a ph360 educator, there are two different stages which you might enter. We've got effectively the freshman or the start to finish approach. And this is where you're going to go through the whole process. This can take anywhere between 12 to 24 months. But by the end of it, you will have a rocking business. You will have a fantastic knowledge base. You will have developed yourself personally incredibly. And you will have been hanging out with some pretty cool people in this group for quite a while. So the start to finish, we'll be looking at attending 6 mastery series, 4 of which must be in person, particularly the 5th and the 6th. And the reason why the 5th and the 6th mastery series need to be in person is because you'll be delivering some of that content. Ooh, nerves, excitement, brilliant. Some of you might be chomping at the bits. But by the 5th and the 6th, there'll be a portion of the conference you'll be delivering. The 6th, in fact, which we'll get to, will be a full delivery next to either Kyle or myself or another one of the trained and approved educators. And that will be under assessment, which we're excited about. Assessment to only improve your skills. If you've made it through to the 6th and you're rocking and rolling, then we have every intention on making sure you're running your own mastery course very soon. So 2 of these can be viewed via the recording. Because there's at least 5 or 6 layers that Kyle and I have identified in the course, we're going to be, each time that you view a conference, you'll have a very specific task as to what you need to get out of that conference. So, and we'll go through those steps in just a second. Particularly for the start to finish, 100 ph360 clients over 18 to 24 months. Now, if you get your business sorted, you should be able to knock that over in about 12 months if you want to see 100 clients. And well, obviously we're going to support you with that, and we're putting the mentoring structures in place to support you with that as well. You'll be mentoring at least 15 mentees who will be other ph360 coaches who will be coming through the courses next year. We'll talk about some of the pay structures for that, or at least when you'll be paid and when they'll be voluntary or when they're really for your experience. And attending at least one ph360 professional series conference will be important. The other option, which we're still deciding on at the moment, will be to view the ph360 professional webinar series, which is something that's available to anyone right now. It's a paid series because it's with our top guy, Dr. Alberto Garoli, who is very, very hard to get hold of. And he's doing 2-hour professional developments every month. And that's something that we may look at in considering for your eligibility if you can't make it to a pro series. But the pro series are going to be very, very powerful for your knowledge, and so I believe that our tendency will be to get you along to one of those conferences because they are that powerful, and be very important for your belief in the program. You need to stand up in front of coaches with absolute conviction, and that's what without a shadow of a doubt, I know that you'll get that from the professional series. As far as completing the associated readings to complement the ph360 content, Kyle and I, there's a lot of content that goes into the ph360 that we didn't learn from ph360. And what we'll be doing over the next period of time is as you view different conferences, we'll be inserting different readings. So you'll have books to read, you'll have other resources to review so that you can really upskill in the different areas. An example might be a book on brain health and exercise that helped form my understanding of neurotransmitters that is very, very appropriate. And it means you can stand up in front of everybody and have a very, very good conversation about how the brain works and how the different parts of the brain will really influence function. We've got different little learnings all over the shop, so we'll be making sure that you have access to those, a very guided curriculum, and really investing your time into those resources will make a huge difference. So, and then finally, number 6 is to pass an interview conducted by the lead educators. This is where we get to throw curly questions at you, where we get to really simulate an environment where we feel if you can pass this process, then you can stand up in front of a medical doctor who just happened across the Mastery Series and answer their questions and feel very validated in doing that as well. So that's the start to finish. I know that there is work in that. To put it into context, I'd seen over 100 clients before I'd seen before I'd educated anyone on ph360. I'd sat through 3 conferences before I'd done any of that as well. And I am hoping that you guys don't deliver what I did the first time when you deliver it. I'm expecting that you guys will be able to deliver at a much higher level because you'll have the curriculum, the lesson plans that we're going to provide, the supporting information as well, and someone to guide you through that process too. So I would expect that you're going to get through this in flying colors if you apply yourself and go through the readings. But in the meantime, what's going to happen is you're going to learn so much about yourself, so much about your business, and have really quite a successful practice in what you do with getting some really fantastic results for clients, not to mention that helping other coaches do the same thing too. So there's a lot to cover in a year or 2 years. And what we're saying is for those people who don't meet the following criteria for the fast track, more than likely you'll be on the start to finish, which we think is a really robust way of making sure you're ready for this process. You're ready to stand up against some very hard-hitting professionals, stand your ground, and be very strong in the content. So the fast track is designed for more senior clinicians and health professionals. So 5 years of clinical experience is going to be very important. So you've actually you've got your stories about how you explain things. You've got your processes. You've got your consultation confidence, those types of things. A strong public speaking experience is going to be very important, and a strong business and sales experience within the health industry as part of running your or someone else's business. So if you've been part of someone's sales and marketing strategies, if you've helped them build a practice or worked for someone and done your own sales and marketing, that's going to be important criteria. We're going to look at this on a case-by-case basis. There will be a different situation for different health professionals based on their experience. If you believe that you are ready for fast tracking, you've got the public speaking down pat, you've got the clinical experience, you've got the business and sales, and now you just really need to fine tune with ph360 information, then we're really happy to have a conversation with you one-on-one about that. As far as the remuneration opportunities go, there is for the conference speaking, there's 3 major areas that you'll be able to generate income from ph360, and this is just for doing the simplicity stuff of just running the conferences. The conference speaking attracts an hourly rate, and it also has a commission structure based around as well, based on the success of the conference, which is really exciting, and it's something that we're so excited to be able to offer you that. Just imagine that there might be a conference running in your area that you're owning every 2 to 3 weeks, and it's something that you can really own that space, really create a fantastic momentum around it, and we want to reward you if that's going along really well as well. So the mentoring is also a component of the remuneration that we're really, really excited to be launching in the new year, and we're going to be really starting that with you guys over the next little while with some of the work Angela's doing, which is really exciting. There'll be a per hour rate for the mentoring, and also if you have aspirations of really not just helping one coach or a few coaches, but helping coaches who are helping coaches who are helping clients, and really being an area mentor to a number of coaches, who are also then mentoring. So being a mentor to mentors effectively is what we're talking about there. There's remuneration based around volume for that. And so the more mentors that you are mentoring, in fact, it provides a greater opportunity for you to really expand your effect and also your influence, which we're thrilled about to be able to offer you. And that's going to be happening in line with all of the education. And then also as we go forward, there will be paid advanced professional development topics that will be available to the ph360 community. We make a lot free right now, and we need to do that right now because we want to foster a community of giving, because this is what right now this part of the journey is all about. Is about helping us and helping effectively the global team build a movement that's really going to change the industry. There's a lot of sweat that needs to go into that, and that's why we give a lot for free, because we know that in the long run it's going to be returned. And while that's the case right now, as we go forward and we have literally thousands of coaches who are going to be tapping into the resources, there will be availability for paid resources and putting yourself into a position where you can create resources that are very useful for coaches. That's something that we'd love to be able to offer you as well. So all of this is going to come from a much more intense learning experience, which you're going to have coming along to the conferences, seeing the conference with a very, very different lens as we guide you through what you should be looking for as each of the layers come away. So speaking of those layers, the 6 conferences effectively will roll out like this. The first will be all about the vibe. It'll be a refresher and to be part of the team. It's for really you to sort of get your toes wet or whatever it is. I'm not sure, jumping in the deep end, something about liquid and yes, and needing a towel afterwards. So the learning outcomes will be about understanding the science. We'll be having a bit of a quiz for you to really make sure that you're understanding the science and you're understanding the delivery of the science, as well as to, what are the specific technical things that we are saying that you're picking up the second time around that you didn't hear the first time. So really maturing your knowledge of the content is going to be very, very important. The second, so there's not much pressure on the first. You just got to turn up, be part of the team, add to the enthusiasm, and really, really start navigating that material again so that you can get more grounded in it. The second will be about the why. So understanding the education of the science. So we're going to make the recording available for this. What we mean by this is how you make the information accessible, how you explain the information. What are the languaging techniques that we're using to make sure that the information is delivered in an appropriate way. They're the types of things. So it's not just the scientific content now. The next layer will be, what are we applying with our language to that science to make it very translatable and make it easy? And in fact, how can we improve that languaging to make it even simpler again? That's the kind of feedback we'll be wanting from you guys in that second session, to know that you're really understanding that. The third will be the how of the why. So knowing your audience, and effectively what we mean by this is, if you've got a room that are totally gung-ho science, how do you modify your language for that audience? If you've got a room that isn't interested in the science and they actually really want an experience, then how do you modify some of the learning so that you can deliver the content in the way it's supposed to, but also really appeal to the people that you're speaking to? So these 3 things, they seem so simple on the surface, but as you watch, there'll be some very specific things that you can really pick up. And all of this is really important to delivering a great mastery series. So knowing the business process is going to be so important, and you having a great grounding with your clients. By this stage, you'll have a good number of clients. You'll have a good amount of experience with the business side of things as well. So you can really know how to aid the coach with what they require. So you'll be able to say, yep, if you've got this type of business and you've got these types of clientele, then the types of things you're going to need are these types of tokens, these types of retreats, these types of courses, and help it really understanding what we deliver so that you can help a coach do the best thing that they can do for themselves. So a little bit of blur on the screen here. We then have the number 5 will be about you getting involved. So anyone between number 1 and number 4 can be recorded, but this number 1, there's going to be some part of you being part of the team and building that enthusiasm as part of the live ones that you attend. The number 5 is really getting involved. You're going to be delivering an aspect of the content. This is how Kyle started up as well. He delivered the stuff that he absolutely loved. That content was fantastic, even though he was only 1 conference in. We had slim pickings when we were discovering the first. I'm just joking. Kyle's had a huge history in health presentations, had a huge history of clients behind him and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't even a question, but he delivered some stuff that was right in his comfort zone. And he was able to really deliver on that aspect. So that's what we'll be looking at in Conference 5. We'll be really quizzing you, making sure that you're fine-tuning your technique. We'll then put you through the Educator Maker interview, to make sure that you can answer the curly questions and be really prepared for that. And then number 6 is you'll be delivering a mastery series in conjunction with either Kyle, myself, or one of the other trained educators. And one of the other trained educators will be marking you and really helping you fine-tune your skills so that you're ready to then go and command your own mastery series. So with all of that, guys, what I'm going to do, we've got a little bit more to go through. Actually, I'll just go through this very quickly because it's a beautiful coloured graph, just a bit of a change of scenery for you. This is sort of the pathway just to sort of put this whole picture into play. This is for a start to finisher. This is looking at an 18 to 24 month pathway. I'll make this a little bit bigger right now. Okay, cool. So what we're looking at here is these are the criteria for the 12 to 24 month period, where after 3 months we'd have a guess or an expectation of you having around about 10 clients, and then adding to that over the next little while and adding to that in an accelerating fashion. So by 12 months, we should be able to, go away please, Mr. Email. Oh, that's good. Okay. So we'd expect that after we'd be gathering a little bit of speed with the exposure that you've had to the content, the exposure that you've had to the business stuff, the exposure you've had to the personal development, that you could really make a good go of having 50 clients after 12 months. Now, these are the client tallies. These are as you're going through the conferences right here. So you've seen 1, 2, 3 to 4 plus a recorded, 5 to 6. It's all happening. So these are the number of conferences you've seen in alignment with the number of months as you track through, with the number of mentees that you're gathering. So we're not expecting you, if you're a fresh starter to ph360, that you'll be mentoring people straight away. But after 6 months, if you don't have a whole lot of experience right now, we would expect that you would have some good stories and some good mindset material for you to be able to mentor somebody else. And as you can see, that if you are doing any mentoring at all, you'd be mentoring some freshmen and it would be freebies. And then we'd be mentoring some freshmen for a paid service right here after 12 months. So you can see here that mentoring practitioners with 1 to 3 years experience, that'll be happening after 18 months on the training program. We'll be saying that if you have less than 3 years experience, it's unlikely that you'll be mentoring people with more than 3 years experience in practice. By the end of 2 years, we would expect you would be well and above a lot of health professionals here, but there's always a whole lot of ego in play. And so those people with 3+ years experience with ph360 background will be taking care of this population. But don't worry, there will be lots of people in this section right here where you'll be able to attract a fee for your mentoring. The other part of this that's important as well is just the funding around the conferences, the delivering of the content, and when you'll be delivering the whole show. So what we know is that when you're shadowing, the first 4 conferences will be self-funded as far as you getting yourself to the conference. There'll be no fee for the conference. We're going to help you out with some accommodation. If we can get a big house on Airbnb, that's always the way, and we normally just jam in as many sardines as can exist. We've done that plenty of times in the past, and that's normally the way we do it. In that way, we can make it very, very affordable if you can get to the conference. The other thing as well is we also help you out with a bit of food. We often do a big group cook, and in that way, we can really make it very affordable for all of us to be there. So it's the investment of flights, which is pretty much all we're going to ask from you. And then any personal development and professional development you want to invest in as well is only going to help you, and we're happy to point you in the right direction for that as well. So there'll be content delivery definitely in the 5th and the 6th. This little yes right here for the 3 to 4, this will be where you're helping out with group scenarios, maybe doing some coaching examples, but generally standing up and delivering to the team will be happening in session 5 and session 6. So that is for the start to finish, and this is an example only of a fast track. If you've got lots of experience, great public speaker, good experience with the business and sales, we're looking at after 6 weeks, we'd hope that you have 10 clients and that you can be getting 50 plus within 6 to 9 months. Particularly with the business nous that one would require to fast track. Mentorships would start straight within about 3 months, and with that being paid after the 4th month, and you can really start getting a good crack on with the mentorships as well under the structure that we're using. So you can see how these fees are paid, and there would be mentoring of people with 3+ years experience as you get towards the qualification where you're running your own mastery series after 5 or more conferences. And as far as the funding model, it's the same thing, where as soon as you start providing some content, so this is where we're looking at the 5th, so 3 to 4 plus 1, so we could be in our 5th conference right here. We'll be funding the content that you deliver, and also your flights as well, and the same deal goes up here as well. Once you get to the 5th conference and you start delivering some content, we'll be funding your flights and your accommodation and your food too, so that you can come along for the ride, get really deliver some great content, and present yourself as a fantastic option for the mentorships that will follow each of these courses too, which will really form part of the ongoing process for coaches along with the 6-week course. So guys, that is the summary of the education curriculum right now. Well, the big things that I wanted to get across were the fact that we're doing this with a big vision in mind of thousands of coaches over the next few years, and we're going to need a very strong leadership team, and this is where I believe the leadership is going to happen in the education of the content. Yes, there are a few hoops to jump through, but I'll tell you right now that you wouldn't want to get up in front of a hard-hitting allied health mob or even a well-educated PT group and not feel confident in this content. And the way you're going to feel confident is through experience. And the good thing is, if you've put 50 clients through your books, you'll have also made a really great income for yourself as well. And so driving towards these goals is going to support you personally, professionally, and also from a career progression point of view as well, where we're trying to really create an environment where you can do some great things. So from the mentorship, and I'll just touch on this, we are so fortunate to have Angela Jenkins as one of our coaches. She since she came through in August, and she's burnt through a 50-pack and a bit already, and she's just finding that the more she aligns with herself as a connector, the more she just ends up engaging families and groups. And from a personal point of view, she's really made a huge inroad into the clients that she's seen. The other component to Angie's work is that she's had a huge background in mentoring health professionals to do really wonderful things. Her education is very extensive outside the ph360 model, and she's at a point now where she's delivering ph360 content to health professionals in an educational way. So we are really honored to have Ange as an option for you guys. And what she's going to be doing is she's going to be running a phenomenal 4-month program for coaches, and you guys are going to get firstly the best deal, and also the first option to be involved with that as well. We're going to be looking at kicking that off in January. It will not be breaking banks. This is about you guys getting the help that you need to really create what you want, and the return on investment for this will be phenomenal. So this is going to be a more structure, some weekly accountability around your business. We're going to forward out Angela's details as well, and just so you can read up on what she's done, so you can really have confidence in what she's doing and why we're actually asking her to join us on this mission of mentoring people. So that's something, and she's going to be in a capacity helping us oversee the mentors. And then as we move forward, we'll be heading to a big structure where there will be a lead mentor. There's also going to be a lead educator, not Kyla or I, but someone who has really taken the bull by the horns and wants to really make their mark in education around ph360. There will be an Australasian and Australian New Zealand lead educator who eventually will move through these ranks and probably is sitting in this room right now, who is going to really help shape the way we educate all of this content going forward. So that structure, there'll be area leaderships as well in the mentorship side of things. So if you aren't the head mentor, you may well be looking after a number of mentors. And this is what we'd expect from people in this group as well, as they really make some great inroads into their profession, all of which is designed to create income for you. It's designed to create income in a way that you can be at home, mentoring on Skype, which is just epic to be able to be in your pajamas on the bottom and in a really nice black t-shirt on top, and to still look professional. Obviously, that's not me. Carl's got some great boxer shorts on at the moment. So just having the availability of creating employment for yourself that way, and also having some ongoing stuff too with commissions around some bigger influence when you're looking after a group of mentors. So guys, with all of that, that's the stuff that I wanted to get through today. That probably took 10 more minutes than what I was planning, but I'd love to now open up the floor to questions, comments. If you absolutely hate this, we'd love you to reserve your comments for an email that you can send to my junk. However, if you've got some questions about any of this, then we'd love to hear and to get your thoughts on where you're at right now too. Just unmute yourself and fire away. What I might do, hands up. Obviously, you came into this not knowing at all what this was going to look like, or how it might shape out. Hands up, who's still interested in becoming a ph360 educator? I'd just like to get a bit of a show of hands. Yep, great. Everyone's involved. Okay, that's really, really phenomenal, guys. That's actually a little bit stoked. Yeah, that's great. So, has anyone got any questions right now? Otherwise, I'll just put more content in, which I can do. Yeah, go for it, Wendy.
Yeah.
Hey. Can you hear me?
I can. We can.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how many kind of hours a week you're expecting it will take to kind of do the training?
Sure thing. That's a good question. So as far as the training's concerned, the way to think about it like this, there'll be attendance to the conferences. That's going to be the big chunk of time. The additional resources that we add will be things like a book of the month, or a book of the content. Let's say you're wanting to learn more about brain health. We'll have 2 or 3 books that it's going to serve you significantly to read. So that type of commitment, and there's a really good process, and they use it in a number of different personal development models of just doing 15 minutes a morning, with a book. And it'll be that type of structure where you're just engaging with content regularly, taking notes on things, and then thinking, how does this apply to different buyer trends, so you can really get your head around it. So it's going to be the big chunk of the hours is going to be the conferences themselves and seeing clients. Like the best education is seeing clients. So the time that it takes, but at least that's paid time as well.
And also, just throwing there as well, on a case by case, it's going to be, it depends on where you feel you're at right now. If you feel like you've not done a lot in the public speaking world, then you might want to start doing some Toastmasters and stuff like that. And that's obviously going to be on your back to go and try and develop those skills where you can, because we'll get you speaking on 5 and 6, maybe on 4 as well. But if you feel like you need to get a bit more working on your public speaking side of things, then you might need to do a bit of extra work there. Aside from that, it's going to be, as Cam said, it's a case of just the extra little bits and bobs just to help get you across the line. But a lot of it will come through your experiences, which is why we've put the criteria on there to make sure that you're working with clients. Because as you guys know, I mean, we look at the feedback all the time, and a lot of the feedback we get from you guys on the Mastery Series is, it's great knowledge and it's great content, but you also love the fact that we put our own stories in there as well, because it really helps to hammer the message home when you've got those types of stories that help you along the way. So as Cam said, a lot of it is working with clients and just building your knowledge up and building your confidence. And then obviously the public speaking is a big aspect of it as well. So it just depends on where you're at with that. And then all the extra little bits of knowledge we can provide with prerequisites and resources and things for you to upskill in different areas, such as brain, hormones, fitness, whatever it might be. So yeah, they're the main things.
Perfect. Does that answer your question, Wendy?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
Hey guys, Mel. Can you hear me? No, not you, Mel. Me, Mel. Too many Mel's around here. Running your own conferences in your own area by yourself. What do you mean by that? You guys haven't been running conferences solo yet, so can you elaborate on that for me?
Yep. So that was a typo. I didn't mean to say by yourself. So often what we'll be looking to do is pair you with a complementary couple, and often we'll have some sort of nerd ecto compare and matched with an excitable meso of some description. We don't have any pure endos in the room right now, so most likely there'll be a pairing that really helps you work to your strengths, and unfortunately you guys have all come through with zero nurturing, unless you've been lucky enough to have Anne at a conference, in which case you have received some nurturing.
Do you want to listen?
Two Crusaders banging away content. There's a better way. There is a better way, but unfortunately, this is why we need you guys to make it a little bit more excitable and a little bit more excited. So not by yourself, but what we would hope is that if you've got a pairing, or there might even be 3 of you or 4 of you that are really good as a team that are working in Brisbane, for example. There's a conference happening every 3 weeks, which would definitely be the case in 2020. There'll be a huge demand for these conferences and educational experiences. So that's more what I spoke about. So not by yourself.
Yeah. Where we're at right now, in the future, it may start to look a little bit different in terms of how we're rolling this kind of thing out. Ultimately, as you guys know, one of our biggest things is getting reach, like 5,000. We want to get 5,000 and above, because we know the more health professionals from different avenues that are doing this, the better the chances are of getting that message out there and changing the current way we're operating in this health industry. So it's not only, at the minute we're working with a lot of PTs and a lot of kind of XPs, but in the future we're going to have, there's going to be specialist areas, so naturopaths, PTs, XPs, your physios, even your dietitians. It might start to look very, very different when we've got more awareness and more coaches and more specialized areas. So you can see how easily we're going to be running regular courses to get this message out there, to make sure that we're driving the message home and changing the way we're going. So just bear that in mind as we talk about this. It might look different from just running a standard 3-day, for example.
Definitely next year we'll be running a PT only, a PT coach only course, and then we'll be having a allied health sectioned off into a nutrition specialist course where a dietitian might turn up, a naturopath might turn up, and we actually go through how you write a meal plan with ph360. We teach that as part of the coursework. Similarly, with the physical side of things, the exercise, we talk about how you program for exercise, particular musculoskeletal considerations you've got to make for the biotrends at a much higher level. So there'll be real area for specialization, and that's also going to happen in the psychological avenues as well. We're lucky enough to have spectacular people like Anne here who's going to deliver content. People like her deliver content specifically around the psychology side of things and how this applies to psychology practice. So then we'll be having a day or 2-day long course for GPs that really gets their head around the whole principle, not designed for them to be a coach, but so they can refer out to coaches. So it's going to take quite a different picture as we move forward, and even the levels within each of those as well. There's a huge amount of content that we can deliver. We can't do that in 3 days. So we'll be allowing people to really step their knowledge up, and we'll be hoping that you guys can be part of that education as well. So that was a very long answer to your question. Next question, if anyone's game for a monologue.
I have a question. When is the next conference, like next year, and where is it? And yeah.
Very good. So all of the dates and cities are up on the website right now. If you go to .me, so ph360.me/book mastery, all one word, book mastery. We'll get the dates out to you as well. For travel dates and things like when the team gets in and all that sort of stuff, so that you can make sure that you're all over that. The other aspect of that too, just to answer your question very directly, it's Sydney, the first weekend of February is going to be the first conference next year, and the last weekend of February for Brisbane.
Also, just a quick hands up, who got the email with that link? with all the course dates and stuff like that. But I put an email out to all the coaches the other day. You have that in your email also.
Okay.
And stuff like that, those that haven't seen it. Just so you guys know on that, while we're on that subject, the price structure is changing next year. So you might have seen this in the email already, or you may not have. When you go onto that Book Mastery site, you'll see the early bird price of the course at $997. That has a cut-off date now. And then there's a late worm where it goes a little bit more expensive to 1297, and then it's full price from there. And we're actually being really quite firm on that this year. So if you guys do know any coaches themselves or any professionals that are interested and have expressed interest, if you want to make sure that they don't miss the early bird special, just check those dates and make sure you get that across so you're not missing out. Quite firm points this year moving forward.
Very good. Cherie.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Are we going to be participating in filling the conferences, or is that marketing strategy going to be covered by other areas, other people?
So there are a number of teams that we're building for ph360 at the moment. One is the health education team, another one is the recruitment team, and another one is the community team. So if you have a real passion for spreading this message to other health professionals and want to support people into the conference, we would welcome you to have a conversation with us about that. But as far as the educators go, there's no expectation that you are going around drumming up business for the conferences. However, you may find that you're organically promoting your conferences, particularly if there's some reward around the success of those conferences as well. So, but there's no expectation. We'll be really driving the marketing and sales in a big way for you.
And where we're at right now, we're in a great position where we have an element of flexibility in that space. So if someone wants to wear a couple of hats, then they're able to. There's structures in place where you can get paid from both as well. So there's no reason why you couldn't in the early stages look at that as well. Yeah.
Ellie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So, if my understanding correct, that we need to attend CIS conference, yeah?
Yeah, well, at least 4, 2 in person. Oh no, sorry, 2 can be recorded. 4 will need to be in person. Yeah.
All right, and then we have to pay for the cost of each conference.
No.
All right, and then
the conference is free.
You just have to go there. Yeah.
If you get there, you pretty much sorted. And I'm completely. Obviously, Ellie's in a very different situation coming internationally. So if you're, and I'll happy to say this, if you're traveling internationally for conferences, we're going to support you as much as we can for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was just seeing because if it was 6, it's a bit not to book 6 hours. Yeah, but I can do 2 or 3. Yeah, I can do that.
Great. That's awesome. And it could be one of those situations where you just take a little bit longer, but you'll be getting the learnings in the meantime as well. You might space it out over 12 to 15 months, just depending on where you want to be, for sure.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Remember,
I've got a question for Kyle.
A very long game. So a year of learning you won't be missing the boat on anything, that's for sure.
Okay. Kyle, just a question on the other job that you take part in educating at the AIS. I think you mentioned that last time.
Yep.
And with also taking on the involvement with ph360.
Yeah.
Do you still work for the AIS? And how many hours did you put in to ph360 as you evolved through the conferences?
So I am going to be there until January the 6th for the exact reason of what Cam and I are doing right now. Yeah, we realise obviously where we're at right now, there's a lot of hours that needs to go into this to make sure it's a success. So I made the decision to step out of that role, and it's a great role. I absolutely love teaching there. I love working with a load of health professionals. So so the decision is to step off that because I need to put more hours into this. But obviously, Cam and I are at this moment in time working on all the systems and everything to build out the national rollout across Australia and New Zealand in this. So it's going to require a lot more hours from our end to do that than it would be to say somebody coming in and just running the teaching side of things. And to answer the question of the hours that I put in, yeah, similar to what Cam was saying there, it's been all hands on deck ever since I got involved. So when I did the first conference, I kind of said to Cam, I was like, whatever it takes for me to be in this thing, I'm in. And it just so happened the opportunity was there for me to take. And I jumped in, and yeah, it was just all hands on deck with everything, from not only understanding the content, working with clients, but then even I played a big role in helping create the content for the 12-week challenge. I also did a lot of work on the background of the 3-day mastery series. So as Cam went through before, those 6 layers that you see, this is the stuff that a lot of people don't realize when you put an event together. There's a lot of work, mastery that needs to go into how you craft a 3-day event to make sure when you're reading between the lines that the messages are getting hit in the right points, that the right things are happening at the right time, so the people that are attending get the best experience possible, not only from an education point of view, but just from an experience point of view as well, in terms of understanding the content, rolling the content out afterwards, etc., etc. So yeah, there's a lot that's gone into the process of creating this 3-day. And as you guys are now starting to see, and this is the beautiful thing about having these calls with you guys, you get to see insight into that and learn that stuff. And that's where I'm actually really passionate about that stuff. I really love building out the content, the workings of behind the scenes and things like that to make things work the way they need to go. And
so when you started out from conference 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, yeah, etc., were you literally running 2 full-time jobs, or how many hours were you literally putting in the first
how much sleep were you getting?
To the third conference?
I was doing 40 hours a week at the Institute, and I was doing pretty much every other part of my day that I was not at the Institute. I was doing ph360. So every day off, every evening, wherever there was a spare hour, I was putting work in.
And you were spending that time mostly trying to educate yourself, or were you literally becoming a team with Cam?
I was doing educate myself, going through stuff with Cam, just because we're at that point, we're at a phase in the business where I'd come in because I'd identified a few areas where I could add improvements and just add a few extra bits in from my experience and my background and my information. So anytime I wasn't working at the AAF, it was a case of I was sat with Cam and I was adding my content into the 3-day mastery series. I was adding my expertise in the sales part of things and the marketing side of things. I was adding bits in on the 12-week course, which is now the 6-week course. I was doing stuff on the marketing side of things to try and get you guys across the courses. So I was working on a lot of the stuff down there. But yeah, it's the full crusade.
Thanks, Carl.
Running a business outside of that full-time job, which ultimately took us both to the realization of there's no way we can operate at this level. There's crusaders banging our heads together trying to do this thing. The mission was obviously a lot bigger to get us where we want to get to, and that's why I personally made the decision and Cam as well to kind of move on to what we're doing in the past. This is our passion, this is our mission, this is the direction we go. Why would I want to do anything else? I want to change the direction we're going in. Help. I want to make sure that this to do that. It needs all my energy and all my attention going into this business, which is why I made the decision to do that. So yeah, it was a very different story because I think I know where you're going with this. It was a very different story when I first got involved, just because I was coming in from an angle of helping building out the business itself and building out the systems of the business, not just the running the content and the education of the 3 days. It was actually building all those systems out and helping Cam with that. So there was a lot more hours that I had to put in personally just because of that reason, versus if you're coming in just as an educator, if that makes sense. The great thing is now we've got the success strategy, we've got the model, we've got the map. And it's just now a case of we can teach you guys that, and you'll get some great learning from that along the way as well, just from our experiences, what's worked for us, what's not worked for us, and where we've improved along the way. So just the process, guys, actually, of going through this mentorship program for your own learning, you're going to get so much value out of it just from understanding between the lines and the systems that we've put together and things like that, and getting that background insight into it. That's going to be invaluable for your own learning, for your own business, and for anything else that you want to roll out from an educational standpoint. So personal, public speaking, that kind of thing, you'll get so much out of it, because there's a lot, as you guys can probably see from what we've been doing, there's a lot that goes into it. So.
Hey, Can you guys hear me?
Yes, mate.
Just want to say a big thank you for taking us through the info tonight. I don't really have any questions, but can't wait to get started. Just want to say welcome aboard to all of you. It's pretty late here in NZ, so I'm going to sign off.
Thanks for
so it was just a really a good night from Christchurch. Paul must be getting a bit blurry-eyed as well. Look forward to catching up with you guys soon.
Thanks, mate.
Awesome, mate.
We'll be in touch. All right, guys. Any final questions before we sign off? Paul's thriving. Night out.
Just one quick one. Just around the professional series, how often are they run?
There'll be 2 next year, and there'll also be so 2 in Australia next year, and then there'll be 1 in Europe as well if you're wanting a little family trip away, mate. So 3 opportunities next year, and talk to us if they're absolutely off the cards. Talk to us. There's ways that we can make it work if it's absolutely off the cards. But I would say that being in person, meeting Alberto, meeting the guys who are sort of in the back end of this is part of the process. Just to understand what you're actually sitting on is an absolute beast. When those dates will come out, they're not confirmed yet. Is probably the thing that you're asking about. We're not confirmed for the end of April.
And just quickly, do we need to attend a professional series linearly insofar as running through the 6 mastery conferences and then going to professional series, or can we attend the professional series just whenever we can?
So I have a question. Where's the professional series in Europe?
It will be in Italy or Spain, one of the 2.
And what time of the year will that be?
Typically May, but nothing's confirmed yet, and that's why I just don't want you to book anything yet. But it'll most likely be May, June is when it's been done.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions, guys?
Hey, boys. Cam.
Sure. Who said
okay. Just a quick one. What's the next step going forward? Like, what are you going to follow up with us? And how do we get our skill set categorized so we know where we're starting from and what we need to work through?
Straight into action, Sherry. It's very good. We're going to follow up with an email. Tonight was just a matter of making sure you guys actually want to participate. And we'll follow up with an email with some information about this as well. And then we'll actually break off into individual conversations with you all to make sure that we've got you on the right path. So that will be coming over the next little while. But we'd be planning on really kicking this off so you've got some momentum going into the new year. So we want to get your path kind of projected forward before the end of the year. So we'll be in touch before then. Very good. And was there one from James there, mate?
Yeah, man. I just wanted to know a bit more about the business mentoring side of things that you're talking about. How's
what
that
a segue.
work?
What a segue. So are you talking about you being a business mentor or getting some business mentoring?
You just said that it was involved in the sort of whole educator program.
Yeah. So there will be some. We're going to open up a closed Facebook group for you guys just to be able to dump a lot more questions more frequently, and that should help you with a bit of the business. There'll be some personal development stuff that will be related to your business as well, but the specific stuff that's actually going to get you the best results is, and I'm sure that Paul may even want to comment on this afterwards, after I just have this little bit here, is the stuff that Ange will be doing will be very specific about you meeting KPIs, it's going to be a group program where you get to come and share what's going on with your business, but then there's going to be weekly accountabilities and some really great structures built into you actually doing the things that you know you've got to get ahead with your business. And there's going to be some really great involvement with Ange from there as well. I think she's throwing in, we'll get you the full details for it, but she's going to be throwing in, I think, a free individual coaching session as part of it, which is when you know what she does and how she does it, it's a very, very valuable process. So that is coming, and that'll be starting in the new year, and that'll be very, very specific. the reason why I would recommend anyone needing a little bit of mentoring or anyone wanting to further their business a little bit further, if you do that mentoring, it sets you up then to be a great mentor to other coaches as well. If you know the processes and difficulties of getting things on track, you know what the process looks like to actually tough it out and to be mentored, then you'll be a much, much better mentor as well. So I would strongly recommend you look at doing that with Ange next year. And Paul, could you add anything to just your experience with Kaizen so far, please? Mate, zero volume, mate. We can't hear you.
How's that?
That's it, mate.
Better?
Yes.
Yeah, Ange's been a mentor of mine for a couple of years, and I guess I guess you get all the normal things you get from a mentor, but she really challenges you to think big. She challenges you to sort of really kind of think outside the square and get out of your sort of comfort zone and hold you accountable to it. So she'll get the best out of each person, I think. So that's one thing that I've noticed, that she's really an uplifting, motivating person. So you come out of her mentoring sessions and you're just on fire,
That's really cool.
So,
yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah, so guys, that's coming out. Right, yeah, go for it, mate. Please, more.
Oh, no, I'm just saying I might shoot through. It's getting pretty late here, so.
Sweet, man. Thank you. I appreciate you being here, mate. We'll be in touch.
Cheers, mate. Yes.
We've got Wendy, and Wendy's off too. She's another Kiwi. What a team we've got. Fantastic. All right, guys. So, James, does that answer your question? Obviously, yep, perfect. We're not looking to make that difficult for you guys, that business mentoring. We want you to be able to participate in it. So it's been we're working out how we can do it in the most available way that is going to be useful for you. So guys, in conclusion, we're going to dominate the world, and this little pocket of individuals are going to be a very, very powerful force as part of all of that domination. So thank you for being here. We are very excited to be spending time with you. Very excited that you put your hands up, and even if we never hear from you again, we felt honoured that you put your hand up at least as part of tonight's webinar. We'll be getting around to each of you individually over the next little while, just to make sure you know what you're doing and where you're going from here. And outside that, we're available. We'll be starting up a little Facebook group as well, so you can all jump in that. We can get educating.
Pretty exciting.
Perfect. So I'll just unmute you all so that you can all love, and then we'll sign.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Guys.
Bye. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Great team.
Look forward to talking to you all.
You're awesome, you girls.
Oh.
All right.
Hi.